Okay, at this point, I'd like to open the June 20th, 2023 meeting of the Carver Redevelopment Authority. It is, it's 6:40, 6:39.
Yep.
I am sitting in as Chairman Pro Tem, kind of, which is the role that the Vice Chair sometimes assumes when the Chair is not available. I think we all know what is going on with Ms. Clark. So until such time as everything is, all the dust has settled, I think this is the way we should proceed, that I'll just assume the role of a temporary chair until such time as we reorganize for good. My personal opinion is that I do not want to do an official reorganization until we have a full board.
I don't blame you. I printed out the rules, and it said a vice chair, if the vacancy arises at a chair, the vice chair raises up the second vice and so forth follows. And it did mention pro tem.
Yeah, so.
But it also mentioned it in the vein that before the chair was not here, that person could be appointed, but in this case, it's a little different.
Well, as vice chair, I would assume the role, but I say pro tem because it's temporary insofar as that we're not going to vote to reorganize.
Right, I agree.
So, so that being said,
You need a motion?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, that's what Robert's rules of law are, so.
It doesn't say you should,
Right, it's just,
formality.
yeah, it's the way the rules work, so that's what we're going to do. First item on the agenda this evening is the Route 44 project update. Route 44 presented a preliminary subdivision plan to the, or they submitted, not presented, submitted a preliminary subdivision plan to the planning department prior to town meeting. They put it in on April 8th, and by the laws of Massachusetts, by virtue of them putting that in, they locked in the zoning bylaws that were in effect on that date, which means the bylaws that were passed at the 2022 town meeting regarding the building height and the water tower and the width of the road and all the other zoning bylaws that were passed. So the Route 44 has gone in front of the planning board to tell them, to explain what the preliminary subdivision plan is. By law, just by presenting it, the planning board has no alternative than to accept it. If it follows the rules of the state, the planning board has to accept it. Thus far, they are fighting that, but the rules have been followed, so we have to look at it as being approved. Route 44 now has 8 months from April 8th, which puts it to November 8th, where they have to come up with a definitive subdivision plan, which is much more detailed, and that's what starts the ball rolling going into the site plan review, et cetera.
Does that, Savory, have to be, correlate to what they originally did, or could this be something entirely new?
The preliminary subdivision plan, all it is it delineates a position of a roadway and related infrastructure to drainage, et cetera.
I thought they had this 2 little lots and 1 huge lot.
That's part of the plan, but it's not locked into the plan.
Right.
This is where the planning board is having a problem. They're looking at the word plan as saying this is a plan, this is what they're going to do. Probably a more reasonable word in that context would be concept. a preliminary subdivision concept, which is the way I look at everything that we looked at when Hillwood was still involved. That wasn't a plan. It never went anywhere to get approved. It never went to the planning board, or it never went to the Board of Health. It never went to the site review. It was a concept. This is what they were thinking of doing, and the concepts, even though they were well-defined drawings and had very good detail on what they wanted to do, that was done for the benefit of deciding or determining what zoning bylaws would need to be changed in order to be able to build that, should that be the chosen thing that they did. So the preliminary subdivision plan that's been submitted just shows the two smaller lots and the big lot and a cul-de-sac and a road that goes out to Montello. And that's all that's required for a preliminary.
I would think that they would probably do the absolute minimum they had to do in order to lock in, or in order to be grandfathered.
I think
That's exactly what they did.
I think, yeah.
And they did the minimum that the law requires, but they did everything the law requires.
Right.
So there's no, the planning board does not have an option of saying no. Despite the fact that they thought they did, and they may still think they do. They thought that because they weren't doing the two warehouses anymore, that it was a complete change and they had to start over. But they're apples and oranges. One has nothing to do with the other. The preliminary subdivision plan, which is just the road, the two smaller lots, and the big lot, it's preliminary.
Yep.
It is there, the state put it in there to lock in.
Placeholder.
Yes, to lock in any zoning changes so that a town can't use delaying tactics to kill a project.
So in line with what you just said, they submitted this on April 8th.
Yeah.
But in that interim of time, they canceled it. They canceled that and they submitted a new one.
No, they canceled the old one and submitted the,
They canceled the April 8th one,
no, that's still the one on record.
because that's the one that shows, like Pat said, it's that big 301 big lot. That's the initial one that they submitted on April 8th.
I was at the planning board meeting last week when they talked about this,
Okay.
and maybe I have the dates wrong, but the lawyer for Route 44, I believe she used April 8th as the date that they submitted the plan that was required by the state, which started the clock running for the 8 months where they have to do the definitive plan. So.
Yeah, I'm going to check, because I can remember Sharon sitting there and saying to me, Joanna, you'll be happy, because now you can see that all the 300 and some odd is one big plot. I remember her saying that, and that's what I'm saying. They canceled that now, because that would have been then a project. Now, we got a subdivision plan, we don't have a project.
No, wait a second. As Tom Bott had mentioned, when they have the project, the UDP, when they have that project going and that gets scrapped, it's kind of like all borders disappear. The project's scrapped.
Right.
It's gone, done. No longer, nothing more with it. Now they have to figure out what to do with the property. If it was a clump of 300 acres,
Yeah.
that's whatever that resorted back to was like a default number. Now it's 220 acres for the big lot, and then there's other two lots.
Right.
Lots. Those added up to that 300 whatever acres, but now they have that plan for it. It just goes back to like, it just goes back to Z. It goes back to that huge number because
Right.
it's not the project anymore.
And
that's when they have to scrap that project, which is the previous plan also. That's why they came up with that new plan, give it like a preliminary, which
Right.
can be refined in November, of what they're going to do if it's going to change or grow. So yeah, you were right. You're right. You see that huge clump of land now,
Yeah.
because it you have to erase all those borders and refined lines that were going to be that,
Yes.
that one property, but now it has to be something else. So that's why it gets re-etched and cut into little pieces.
So can I ask a few more questions? So if that's the case, then is DHCD going to still be involved?
It's not a plan.
It's like town.
It's
projects.
a preliminary subdivision plan that was put forth to lock in the zoning bylaws. That's all it is.
Okay,
It has nothing to do with DHCD, it has nothing to do with the urban development plan. It's Route 44 following state law to put in a preliminary plan showing where the road's going to go and any related infrastructure to stormwater runoff and possibly any kind of underground conduits.
so Maggie, our DHCD point of person, when she sent that letter back to Sharon and us, said, there are two kinds of changes, you're either a major or a minor. And then she told us to seek out town council or our own personal thing. I read that letter again, and I was saying, where is that?
We're not at that stage yet.
We're not.
We will get to that stage when they do this definitive plan.
Okay.
That's, I believe.
Because like Tom Bob was very clear, and he kept hitting this on you, because you got to understand, a plan is just what you think you might do with the property.
Correct.
You don't have a project yet, because you have no customers, you have nothing there yet. So the project is scrapped.
Okay.
Scrubbed, done. So you wipe it off the chalkboard, now you've just got this big chalkboard, blank chalkboard. What are we going to do with the land? We have to do something with it so we can abide by all the guidelines and grandfather all this in. So they came up with the most simplest of plans. Very basic, very small structure, big lot of land, and two other that provide a lot road in and all this, like the basic infrastructure concept. Everything can be redefined by November when they advertise and figure out what they're going to do, and then a project might come up. And then at the time a project might go into play, that's when all these other facets of the project before that you're concerned about can then be implemented. Until then, it's just a penciled in plan, you know? It's very basic, very minimal, nothing's there yet. So all the concerns from the previous project, they're scrubbed, they're gone. But those people are still there
Yeah.
to be used when there becomes a project.
Right. Right now, the preliminary subdivision plan is a means by which Route 44 locks in the zoning bylaws for 8 months. That's, in effect, that's all it is. It has nothing to do with what they're going to build.
Until it's definitive.
Until the definitive, yes. And even the definitive, once it's in, that means that whatever they, if they've locked in something for those front two lots, those two smaller lots, and they have the big one in the back, they can petition later to do something else with the big lot in the back. They can subdivide that later.
Right.
The one question that's coming up now is they have until November to make a definitive plan. But even that definitive plan can change.
It
Or do
can.
they have to act on, like, let's say, the smallest piece of property to say, all right, this plan is going into effect, but then the rest can be changed?
I believe that's the way it works. They could take one, let's say there's a 10-acre lot, a 20-acre lot, and a 250-acre lot. They could do a definitive plan for the 10-acre lot and submit that, and that would qualify as a definitive plan. And now that's on the books. That would satisfy, I believe. This is what I believe I heard from Tom. And then 2 years later, now they want to take that 250 and split it into 10 more lots of 25 each. They can go back and petition to have that done and do more preliminary plans followed by subdivision, by final plans.
Yeah, but
Definitive.
Tom Bott said too, if they do that, then they have that cul-de-sac can only be what it is. That they would have to redefine a lot, so, but they could do that. I think that was your
The
questions. I read all the minutes.
The cul-de-sac is there to create the necessary frontage for the large lot.
Yeah, that's it.
So,
Gee, all the way, and now we're here.
as far as I know, I think the planning board wanted Route 44 to come back and with more information, and Route 44, it's on the tape
I'm
of
going to
the
have to
meeting.
look at it. Was it you said it was the 6th, right? June 6th?
Probably. probably.
Somewhere in there, I'll find it, just go on YouTube.
But you can see it on YouTube. The lawyer for Route 44 was very, very clear that they had followed the law and that they were not going to appear in front of the planning board again. There was no, she said, we've done what we have to do.
Well,
It's
because the
approved.
planning, there's no
We're not-
permits required.
Right, yeah.
They just have to accept it, and that's it.
Yeah, she said,
And no waivers either.
we're not coming back.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, I think they had a planning board meeting last Tuesday, the 13th, at
It might have been the 13th. I don't know.
Okay, I'll check, I'll,
Too many meetings.
June 13th.
all right.
So anyway, it's at the very end. They were the last one. Is the agenda there?
No, did you get the?
No, I didn't.
It was the last thing on the agenda, whenever it was.
Okay, I'll look it up.
All right. Are there any other questions, discussions, points you want to make about Route 44?
No, a little sad.
Well, I think as we move closer to November, maybe in August, we should ask George or Bob to come in and tell us what they're thinking. George,
You mean skip July? Let them wait?
well,
Have them come in. I mean, they've already had their piece with planning board, let
but
them
that's
come.
that's preliminary. I know we can all find out what that is, and that's really,
Well,
not
no, maybe we can ask them about.
I want to wait till they're
Okay.
closer to getting the definitive.
Okay, I agree, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Good.
So I think that, we wait till August, because that's 3 months before they have to present.
At least
So
Okay.
they should have, at the earliest August. All right. Okay, so that takes care of Route 44. Number 2, appointment to update the 2017 Priority Development Area and Priority Protection Area maps, a request by Town Planner Tom Bott. 2 members to participate in a half-day workshop on a TBD date in July, likely 2 to 6 p.m. This is basically SERPED, the Southeast Regional Planning and Economic Development Group, does maps, very detailed maps every year, and the last time they did the one for development areas, which is where they think businesses should go, or housing, and protection areas that they think are worthy of. 2007,
I was on that house plan.
Right, but the last one they did was, I think, 2017.
That was the master plan?
No, this was, no, the master plan was 2014.
Okay, because it
15.
wasn't a housing plan, we did I was.
No,
on
this is
one.
just, this is 2 pages of their master book of maps.
Okay,
They want to make sure that the development areas that we indicated 5 years ago, 6 years ago, are still the ones that we believe should be developed.
okay.
And also the same is true with the protected
You know what?
areas.
I'd like to submit myself.
Who's next? Who's the second one?
I'm interested. I'll do it.
She's interested.
You want to do it?
Definitely.
All right. Then, is that okay with you? Is that 2 of them?
That's fine.
All right, fine. All right, so we will have, they're crazy. This is Sarah, rather. All right, so Roger and Joanna. All right, Tom, I'm sure will send out emails he'll have your names on his list, and we'll send them out whenever the date is determined. I think SERPED is going to be determining the date. So, that's it. One afternoon.
Can you give me the acronym for SERPED? Is it
Yeah, hold on one second, when we get back there, hold on.
SRP,
SRP.
SRPEDD. Southeast
I knew I
Regional,
didn't have it right, it didn't look right.
Southeast Regional Planning and Economic Development Department?
Okay.
Yeah,
Something.
Serpent. I never hear the D sound at the end.
Environmental development, there's another day, right?
I believe so, yeah.
department.
I don't think it's department, because it's really not.
So what acronym do you have?
Southeast Regional Environmental Development, and I was looking for the next D.
Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development District,
Yeah.
District.
Okay, district.
SRPEDD.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So, back to the agenda, which I have lost.
Wade Street.
Wade Street is next. Let me just get back to it so I have it open.
You didn't get it?
Yeah, I didn't get it.
How did we get this agenda? From Sharon?
Yes.
From Sharon? You could always go on the website, you know. That's how I usually go. I go on the website after, because it has to be put up there on the
Yeah, that's where
calendar.
I'm going right now to get it.
Right, on the calendar.
Meeting calendar. All right, so,
Did you get the updated?
I did, thank you. It's so little,
Updated.
and I can't control it.
Okay.
What font do you write it in? Do you really write it small?
No.
It must be my phone, when I try to print it, it doesn't give me that flexibility. Oh, well.
all right, Wade Street.
Okay.
The update on Wade Street is,
Site visit.
Did that right.
we have to do that. I just want to find out, I got something from Sharon. Unfortunately, I have two emails. People don't always send things to the right one.
I hate when they attach. Then you go crazy. You know, it's like, you want to print down something.
Did she text it to me? Too many ways to get in touch with me. Way too many. Here we go. All right. From the Boulets, they sent Sharon a text or an email or something. Keith Tobin, who I guess is moving the barn.
Oh, okay.
Hi, this is from the Boulets. Hi, Sharon. Keith Tobin texted me on Saturday. The barn move day was pushed up to July 6th because of the weather and the 4th of July. Keith and his crew will be starting work this week, taking out the road and putting the foundation for the barn in. The barn is being moved way over to the left of my property as you are facing my house, but still down back. I'm sorry for the delay, but Keith said my barn is next up. I hope your move was successful. So, I think that's fine. It's, you know, we had said June 30th, this is going to be a week later. We don't need to move on anything
No.
more quickly, so. We did the site visit.
Was that 517? I think I put that down.
Yep. And we saw that there was a lot of stuff around. There was, I didn't ask Sharon if Sharon was going to follow up with the Boulets, talking about all the stuff that was still there. There was a fire pit with a lot of aerosol cans and metal and just stuff that had to be cleaned up. That was on our
Property.
property. So I'll have to follow up with Sharon to see if that letter was taken care of, because there's nothing in this email that says anything about that.
Okay.
So I would imagine that after July 6th, we should go take a look again, and then get on the agenda for
Would that be not
conservation.
Concom? Would that be just us going, or would that be Concom?
It can just be us.
Okay.
You know, I can relay to Concom
Okay.
what we saw. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think that Concom needs to go back out there. I will ask them if they'd like to. I won't say no, but
Yeah, right.
I don't think they have to go. We all know what needed to be done, and I think that they would trust me to say whether it's been done or not. So,
Do you want to schedule that? Or you want to wait till, do we have another meeting coming up? I don't know.
we don't have a meeting yet. I want to wait on that in case,
Okay.
in case weather delays it again.
Oh,
Because we're
okay.
supposed to not be having great weather over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
So, like the last 2 weeks. So I want to see if, I'm going to have to get the Boulet's contact information so I can take over the email
All right.
chain and find out. I'll send them something on the 7th and just ask them if it was done. And then we can figure out a date via email if we need to.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
My problem is that starting on July 8th, I'm basically unavailable the rest of the month.
Yeah, vacation.
Yeah, so that takes care of Wade Street. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? Joanna, you've written a lot of things down.
I know. Well, I forgot to bring my pad to take notes on, so I have to, but we said that, she said, Sharon said that she was going to be contacting Kathleen O'Donnell to start preparing the paperwork. You would have to be speaking with her about that.
Okay. All right, well, let's find out, let's get this stuff moved. As I said, I mean, there's no urgency to getting it done. It's either ours or Concom's.
Okay.
So it's not as though we have a closing date that we have to get to. We can get it done as soon as the work is done.
Yeah.
The only calendar item was asking the Boulets to get it done by the end of June, so
Okay.
they're close.
Yeah, but Kathleen should really do it. We own it, yet.
Yes, I know, but
Okay.
she's going to need a date of transfer.
Okay,
So until we know that,
all right.
I don't think there's any reason
Okay.
to,
The other thing too, on that minutes, it said we need to make sure that whatever they said they were going to do, they should be doing.
right, and that's the secondary site visit.
Okay.
To make sure that they get all that done.
Do we check to make sure that they've got a permit for the move, for the new location, or we don't care?
I thought about that when I read that.
Yeah, because Keith should be putting forth I know Keith, and he should be putting forth a permit for that, right? To put the structure there, and then,
The Boulets were so apologetic and somewhat embarrassed that they hadn't done it the right way the first time, that
Oh, wow.
I'm of the opinion that they've done it right this time. All right.
Can I add to that also? When you drive there on the right-hand side, there's a telephone pole, and that's where the power comes from, going to that property, right directly to that barn. I know that because Brian Abatello is the one that
Right.
told us. So I wonder if that's something that they have taken care of, that we need to worry about.
I was concerned, like when they said Keith will be taking, like, doing all that work to remove I guess the front, what are they gonna move? The stones in front of the property so that he can get his truck in to move that to the side, or?
I think they have access on the other side of their house, back to their backyard.
Okay, because I thought in that thing, I thought it said he's gonna remove a portion of that brick in front, but I'm trying to.
He might remove the portion that's not on their property.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know, I don't think it's for access. If you look at the older photos from the satellite, when they first built the barn, they accessed it from the other side of the house, from where the road is now.
Yeah,
So I think he still has, and I looked at that when we were there, and it was still passable and, navigable. So I think that if he's moving anything, it's stuff that we asked him to remove that was not on their property.
Okay.
As far as the phone pole is concerned,
Yeah.
I think by putting the shed she said it's on the other side of their property. I don't,
That was very specific. They went out and had that very specifically electrified directly from, underneath there's a conduit that goes all the way down there, right straight down to the barn. So somebody's going to have to make that change.
That's interesting.
that's,
It should be hooked up to their own electrical box on their property, not the way it was before.
I'm sure that they had a meter. You think they were getting the power right off the grid?
I don't know. I never bothered to go look at it.
No, but if they set up the power, and however they drew the line across, technically, they should, if that's their pole, if they put that pole in,
No, they didn't. That pole was there earlier.
so
That
they just
pole
tapped
also-
into it and
Yeah,
then
right,
dropped the
right.
line across,
Yep, that's what they did.
then okay, then that's just a reminder you probably send to them with a concern saying, we know you tapped into that
Right.
pipe, move it back to your own, and then they can just recoil that wire and to the other.
Yeah, well, it's gonna
So
take,
that's an Eversource pole then?
it is.
So they have an easement to keep that pole there? Eversource?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think it feeds
So
other
if-
things.
But if they have power to that barn, and it goes from that corner, it just makes sense to pull that power off of that pole and bring it back to the pole that's probably closer to
Right,
their house.
exactly.
And then run the power straight back. They'll probably do that anyway, as a step to bring the power to.
I don't make an assume out of anything,
No,
guys.
I agree with you on that. But like he's saying, if he's going through all this because they're embarrassed, it just might be one of those reminder steps.
Oh, no, it could be, oh, we forgot.
Yeah,
Come on, I have
definitely
neighbors too.
consideration.
I go through the same thing,
Well,
you know?
my feeling is if they're dropping power from the pole straight down underground,
Right.
that doesn't really affect our property. I don't know if conservation would have any objection to them having an underground conduit. It's not an eyesore, it's not something that's not allowed. I can ask them if they're going to move it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, why don't you just ask them
Yeah.
if they're going to move that power and then redefine it, to their own
Yeah, I'm trying
usage
to,
in their own backyard.
I'm trying to see if I can see where the power poles are.
It's right on the corner of,
No, I know where that one is. I'm just seeing where the next one was.
oh, I don't know
I
that.
thought they had one before their driveway between that house and their house and the one before it.
Yeah,
I haven't been
maybe.
down the road that often.
Oh, you go down there? Okay.
No, not that often.
Oh, all right,
Yeah, there's one in front of the next door house, but then there's all trees, so I can't tell.
all right.
I can't see. But it seems to be on the same side of the street. Well, there's another one across the street, it looks like. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But I can make sure that we ask them what they're doing with
Yeah,
the
that
power.
would be good. And as far as the surveying, the Mylar has been created? Borden created the Mylar?
I'm sure he has.
Does he have to go back and re-sketch it so it doesn't show everything else that's on that property, on our property? So he goes back and he scrapes it away. So the Mylar is clean now. You know that there's no
That's all
bond, there's
digital.
no-
He can just delete it.
I know, but it's something he needs to do.
I'll find out from
Yeah.
Kathleen what she wants.
Oh, okay, all right, because they're going to have a deed to be recorded, and for sure, that's you, Concom, not you, but the recording of that deed, you want it clean.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that, Art knew what our intent was from the get-go, so I'm
Well,
sure
I
he has
dealt with
that
him
on
before,
a
and
layer.
he's a great guy, and he does good work, but you got to remind him, and you got to be picky, I am, and you have to make sure that he does that. That's all I'm saying, because I've dealt with that before, and he's fine, he'll fix it, but you got to remind him.
Okay. Anything else
Oh, no,
on Wade Street?
no, I got it.
All right, next up is Treasurer's Report. Pat sent it out.
Yeah, I got it.
Everybody look through it. Any questions?
Yeah, we're running out of money. No, we're not. But the pocket's a little low.
So we've got we actually, had no activity last month, so, or very little. We've got balances in the accounts as of May 31st. In the checking account, 503.99. In the RDA money market account, 59,580.97. In the Hillwood account, 5 cents. And the reason 5 cents is in there is because the
Do you want to keep that account open?
I've already told them to close it.
Okay,
And it's just the difference in time between when the transfer was made and the check was actually cashed. So there was this
Interest?
little 5 cents, and I did something with it. And then we've got, in the urban renewal account is $1,280.41. Now, in the checking account, we've got 3 outstanding checks that are in the process of being cashed. And I took the 5 cents and transferred it into the money market account.
Okay.
okay.
So
Do you feel that we
What
should
account?
move money from the money market into the checking at this point to have a little bit more?
when bills come in, I move it over.
Okay, all right. Fine, so we don't need any action on that.
No.
Okay.
So that's current.
Okay.
Okay. Accept that report from the treasurer as read.
Are we making a motion?
Yeah, that's my motion.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, do we have a second?
A second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the treasurer's report as read by Mr. Maher.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. It's approved 4-0. You know, that nickel was probably there when Sharon was still a member. That's a penny each we could have had.
We
split it up.
If they want it, I'll, in order to make them feel good, I can mail them a dime.
We can all split it, right?
Okay. I have no topics unanticipated. Does anybody else have
Yeah,
anything?
Joanna does, as you well know.
How about 90 Forest Street?
Yeah, we're all through it.
Thank you for mentioning it. I forgot all about it.
I can't
We-
get through a meeting without saying it.
Yeah, I had taken some notes about chair versus that, but we already went through that. The other thing that my concern is with the fact that redevelopment, we have a vacancy to fill. And I went to the actual website, and it said that it talks about the Redevelopment Authority and that we have 4 members and the way we elect the 5th. The important part for me is if the department does not fill a vacancy in the position of that member within 120 days from the date that the vacancy is created, the Board of Selectmen shall appoint in writing a person by a majority vote to fill such vacancy for the unexpired term.
So the way that sounds to me is that we are responsible for interviewing and adding
Right.
the member.
Let me just tell you that I Googled, and good old Mr. Jim Walsh, the Carver Redevelopment Authority has 2 vacancies. This is what he did. He advertised on the Carver website. The Carver Redevelopment Authority has 2 vacancies on the board and is seeking applicants to fill both positions. He says the RDA is responsible for the urban renewal plan and project located in North Carver. For more information about the RDA projects, please go to the link, and he puts our website, RDA website link. Interested individuals should submit an email stating their interest in serving on the RDA to Jim Walsh. He gives his link, and he gives a date and time to respond by, including by 12 noon. Applicants will be appointed by a joint meeting of the Select Board and RDA. Thereafter, both positions are elected positions.
Right. So someone would fill out the remaining term and be up for
Exactly.
election
Right.
at the next.
So I have, I'm thinking, and I'm coming into the town hall tomorrow to talk to Elaine, to get some clarity, because it was done the last time by the town administrator, which was Milanowski.
The appointment?
Yeah, is it within 120 days? Are we supposed to take some action? Or do we just kind of sit back and relax? And then when 120 days goes by, we now, hopefully the selectmen should be advertising beforehand, like on the Carver report,
Well,
on the Carver website.
our executive liaison is Tom Bott, so he's the one who has to advertise it.
Oh,
Just
okay.
like Jim Walsh did.
Just Walsh did? Okay, that's fine.
And, he can start advertising it, anytime within the 120 days.
Right.
So I think we need to sit and speak with him. I thought about this. I spoke with Kara today, too, a little bit about what was protocol in situations like this. And I'm of the opinion, and Tom may know better, and I'll talk to him when he's back from his trip. Sharon brought to this authority a vast amount of knowledge in real estate and registry of deeds,
Zoning, yeah.
and zoning. And I want to make sure that whatever advertising that goes out to fill this position includes something that says that you need to have that kind of background in order to apply. It's not just open to anyone.
Well, 120 days is 4 months. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Mrs. Clark can get their residency straightened out and can fill the bill as well. But in all fairness, we have to interview, we have to go through this process.
We do. One of the questions that I asked Kara today, and her answer, she was not 100% sure her answer was right. But my question was, what if only one person applies and we don't think that person can adequately serve? Do we have to accept them?
No, I didn't read the other part. It did say 2. No, it says here, a selectman that shall contain not less, the board of selectmen that shall contain not less than 2 and not more than 5 names, and the board shall make the appointment from among those names submitted.
Shall?
Right here, shall. There you go.
So, okay. So they have to, if there are 2 people, they have to choose one. They can't say both are no good.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So she has to leave because for a few months she's not a Carver resident?
Correct.
For all those years she has been?
Correct.
While they're searching for a house in
Correct.
the town to move into?
Correct.
There's no,
She didn't have to.
Leniency?
They decided to.
Board of Registers make the decision.
Board of Registers, the other option for them was to go in front of the Board of Registrars and face a litany of questions regarding residency. They made the decision that there could possibly be some financial obligations by the town to fight this or to investigate this, and they didn't feel that was
Yes.
the right thing to do, to burden the taxpayers to do this.
but then if, okay, so she finds something and comes back to town, however that works out, is there a time, are they gonna sit there and say, well, you have to be in town now again 6 months?
No. No.
She can immediately come back right back? Or-
She can sign the closing papers and come into town hall and apply.
Once you
So in that interim, we have to find somebody within 120 days.
Yes, we have to
You have to advertise.
within 120 days for the open position.
Right. Now, if a qualified person does or does not come back, but she makes it back by that time, we can just take her back. We don't have to take
No.
that.
She would have to apply for the open seat.
Right.
Okay.
But it's a joint decision by us
Yeah.
and the select board.
Yeah, right.
And you know, I think it's probably,
It's doable.
it's doable. And, you know, not because of her personality, but because of her acumen. She's the perfect person for this job. So,
I'll give you that so you can have it.
thank you. So, you know, I'll talk to Tom Bott, and we can
Okay.
figure out a timeline on this, and we can indicate in what Tom puts out there that we want somebody with legal, zoning, real estate,
Yeah,
or, you know, even a clerk, you know, a law clerk.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, is going to be more like that would be the preferred, not the must. Because nobody else had, you know, I think we've got to be careful there.
You're right. Preferred is probably what has to go in there. But,
I don't think we can say must have
Well,
this,
Tom will know that.
Must have that.
Tom will know that.
There was no must when I got here, or anybody
Right.
else, so I don't think we can do that. We've got to be careful.
Yes, I agree with you. So
Yeah, that's-
must is
preferred
fine.
is, definitely-
Preferred.
Preferred is
Preferred
always
is,
a good word.
Yeah. yeah.
right. But I'll talk that over with Tom and
Yep.
figure out how we should do
Yep.
it. I mean, we've got 120 days before we have to even post it, so
Yeah.
It may be resolved by then.
it may be. We have a little time to think about
It's
it.
doable. I have one more thing to talk about, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
Well, it's about our treasurer, Pat Maha. And
Be nice now.
Yeah, well, I am nice, because I want to make sure you stay here. I, too, approached Kara and asked her about the fact that our treasurer serves also on the Finance Committee. And at town meeting, when they were supposed to resolve that issue, Alan Germain got up and he postponed indefinitely. I did my research. He postponed an article on this 23rd, 2023 town meeting, 2022 town meeting, 2021 town meeting, and 2020 town meeting. And I said, whoops, why hasn't the selectmen stepped forward and fixed this? And so I went back to the bylaw, knowing that this is the way it stands, and it's very clear that any registered voter of the town shall be eligible for appointment to the Finance Committee. It's not supposed to have council on aging, but that part of that article never got passed, so this council on aging stays there. Except that no elected or appointed town officer or regular town employee or person holding a position of financial responsibility for the town shall be eligible for membership in such agency. No member of a special town committee shall be authorized to vote as a member of such agency on any matter pertaining to the duties. I said to her, I need a town council or Bob, what's his name, Mr. Fennessy. I need clarity, you know, I need clarity. Pat's serving through the 2020, or it will end 2024, right, Pat?
Yeah, right.
Of 2024. But now, in this interim of time to then, what about this? What's the story? And she said that, she called me back and she said that town council will call her tomorrow and give her a decision. Meanwhile, of course, word gets around the town hall real quick. At about 3:30, I got a call from the select board, Elaine, through Shelby actually, and said that on 26, which is next week, the select board are going to put that on their agenda for discussion. She didn't tell me a vote, and I should have asked her, is it discussion and a vote or just discussion? So obviously, it's been raised, and it needs to get resolved.
Well, you know, there's a couple of us that this relates to.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I think that you get appointed. I got appointed to the Finance Committee, and I had to have an appointment to this committee, too. They did it.
Right.
Okay, so my sense is they'll honor their appointments until that term is over. And that's that's what they should do.
That's what they should do.
That's what they properly should do, for me and another individual or two. Absolutely. And I think they will.
Right. And your appointment on here is good, or you're elected here, you're good for 2 more years?
Yeah, you're elected.
No,
He's elected.
well, it also had to be an appointment, it was an appointment. and-
Initially, but then
Yeah.
you were elected.
Until April,
Yes, of 2024,
until the next election.
right.
Oh, okay.
I'm good till then. So,
All right, so you're good
and I
for
think-
another 10
and
months.
And I think that they will, because they were the ones that did it, they'll honor what they did.
Who's the select board did the appointments?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my point to Karen, I'll say it again, 4 years this has been going on.
Yeah.
4 years. This
Yeah.
is absolutely ridiculous.
Right, and as Pat said, it does affect more than just him.
Yeah.
Oh, that,
There are other
right,
people.
without a true, yeah.
But
without a doubt.
but another point is there's, we all know there's an individual out there that likes to bring little things like this up, and I particularly don't care what he says or what he does.
Well,
And
yeah, I call that a legal beagle.
and-
We got
and
this
I-
little
and I
legal
can-
beagle running around.
And I don't really care. I'll stay.
Okay.
I'm here.
I
Yeah.
just, I don't want to lose valid and
I'm
competent
not
people.
gonna be.
Yeah,
You know.
I asked
by
that
him.
question to Kara too, and got the same answer, that they're going to have
Yeah.
a ruling or suggestion by
Yeah.
council.
Well,
Yeah.
beyond discussion, I want it to be, when they do the town, when the 26th, whenever that meeting is, that it's a discussion and a vote. Now, I think you can't go to town, you have to go to town meeting to make bylaw changes, but in the interim, they must be able to do something.
They can do, sure they can.
Okay,
Sure they can.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if they'll do I don't know if the discussion will actually lead to a vote on that night.
Right.
But it'll be a step in that
Well,
direction.
they've been toying it with 4 years.
Oh, I know it.
They don't
I know
need to
it.
toy anymore.
That's true. It's one of those bylaws that started because of one instance.
Exactly.
That all of a sudden became this monster
Right, right.
that affected a lot more people
Right.
than anybody thought of when it was first brought up.
But, when you go to town meeting and you deliberately get up and, create this motion to definitely postpone, and you do it for 4 years in a row, and nobody challenges it, I, for one, didn't. Maybe I should have. Maybe I just woke up because of these situations that are apparently happening to us,
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes something like that to get going.
I am confident it's going to turn out the right way.
I hope so.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Well,
But nothing can be, I guess, with bylaws and the integrity of the process of how things are working. If they say, well, no, that was the decision to have these people work or do these positions is wrong, it doesn't invalidate any of the work that's been done. They can't go back and change anything.
No, it doesn't, and I believe that the intent, Pat, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the original intent was not having people on the finance committee who were on committees that also dealt with financial matters.
Conflict of interest that
Yeah,
we're talking?
I think it was that, and also there was a bylaw where they didn't want people on more than one permitting committee. So if your committee gave out a permit, like conservation gives out permits, earth removal gives out permits, that you can't be on both. Because they're both permitting authorities. That there may be 2 different bylaws there, but they were sort of came out at about the same time. And does that sound pretty close to
Well,
what you believe it to be?
I think what some of my feeling goes to, as Ron Clark and I did a little research on this as to what other surrounding towns have written up. And it's like why reinvent the wheel? What are you doing? So you get it from another town. Okay, we'll do this too. To me, that's what it sounded like. And there was only like, I think Kingston and Middleborough that didn't have this restriction. Every other town did. And it was almost worded exactly the same. So I think it was one of these, okay, let's send around our thing, and so forth, and that's what it is. And then you've got people that, feel strongly about that, and that's okay. I feel strongly the other way.
Right.
I don't see that is an inherent conflict. As the FinCom has, actually, it's an advisory board. It's got no power.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yes.
decision-making board.
So originally, you were brought in, you were sworn in, correct? Because there was a need for someone with your qualifications to take the job, correct?
On the FinCom.
Okay, right, but you were, okay, and then, I think there's got to be something along the line that's, like, we were saying, that a prerequisite, or has to have, a must-have.
Yeah.
You have to have a skill set to be able to perform the job, so if the skill set matches, and there's no qualified candidates, that should supersede any of these little,
You would think.
any of these little nitpicky things that
That
say.
might make a
well,
little
you
too much
can't do
sense.
this, But there has to be that standard trace of logic. And granted, people can nitpick, and people can critique and do what they do to rock boats. But in reality, when you need that skill set, you pull that skill set and you use it. And the town should stand by the fact that the people who are in these positions are in them because they want to be. They don't necessarily have to be, but they've got the skills that we can't afford to lose that kind of.
The other thing, my take on Finance Committee, because during the time of year when you're planning and how much budget, yada, yada, take, for instance, Pat. Pat serves, well, we're quasi anyway, but that's a poor example. We'll say conservation, your place. If you're on that committee, you don't go over there and investigate. You can't go there. As you wouldn't be going to that committee if you're on that committee. You don't go, period. The question now, can you vote? Yes. Well, that might be a question. How would you vote? Well, if it's a majority, you're only one. That's the way I look at it. So, that's part of the bylaw. They should say, this shouldn't be the way it is. And
what we may call common sense in looking at things is a lot different than what the law or the bylaw may intend. It's just like the common sense logic, law logic. They don't correlate oftentimes. In fact, they don't even seem like they're near each other.
Yeah, well.
Sometimes, and there's reasons for that. So, okay, so that's that. But they made some decisions, and I think that they will at least honor the ones that they made, and go from this point forward, or from that point forward.
Yes.
And I think that that's the way it'll come out. And I would.
Right, and
I think that will happen.
So my point, though, if I take what you just said, and they honor that, and in 2024, you have to decide whether you can be on the Finance Committee or the Redevelopment Committee.
That probably is going to happen, yes.
If that's your logic. That's not my logic. I wouldn't go for that.
No, that's what the logic of the bylaw says.
right, and that's what the ruling's going to determine.
And what the outcome of that discussion is going to be. And I believe that will be the outcome of the discussion. But that won't happen until current terms are expired.
Like, true, but there should be an article changing this bylaw.
Well,
This needs to get changed.
They'll rewrite it, yeah.
Or even if they make a stipulation that if you're on two boards, couldn't you, then not be a voting member of that board for certain financial policies in this particular case?
The committee,
This
for
way,
example.
you have to vote at the higher level that you're at on the finance committee, but in here,
Yeah, I mean, you can be on two
General member
boards,
vote.
it's just that one of them can't be the finance committee.
Right,
Yeah, you can vote
You
on
can still be on
everything,
two
right.
boards.
right.
So you're not over
And-
influencing.
It's just
It's the
this is-
finance committee one. that-
Right, but there's another part that says you can't be on two permitting authorities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
is
never got,
different.
that never got voted on, because this is the actual bylaw.
It's a
There is
different
more
one.
to it.
This, I think, this is the one that Mr. Jermaine withdrew, right?
No, this is not, this
No,
is the
that's-
actual
that's what's on
bylaw.
there
That's
now.
what it is. It
Okay.
talks about
He
council on aging.
actually, he withdrew 4 of them, 4
Right.
years in a row. And each one of them changed. I didn't print it out, but I could.
Yeah.
I'm
And I
sorry.
probably will. I probably will. But anyway, that's what that's what.
Well, I think a lot depends on the KP Law's ruling
Yeah.
or their
Yeah.
reply
Tomorrow,
to
they're supposed to
Kara
get-
tomorrow.
yeah,
And also whatever the select board
board
does on Monday night, next
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So,
so we'll let them deal with it.
yeah,
That's all. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
and I think all anybody wants is clarity and
Yeah.
get rid of the gray area.
Exactly. 4 years is way too long.
Yeah, okay.
Be juggling it around.
Do you want to leave the chance, or is there somebody that goes there and can fight, or like make comment for?
Well, Joanna Layton's going to be there, but I may
Oh,
not
that's
get.
taken care of.
But I won't
Asked and
get,
answered, Your Honor.
I might not get participation. He might not ask for audience participation.
I'll be in Maine.
Oh, you can always participate.
He needs
Yeah.
they need to hear from us.
All right, so I guess that will take care of members' notes as well.
Yeah.
Same thing.
All right.
Did everyone get a chance to read the minutes?
I sure didn't. I didn't find a problem with
I didn't
it.
either.
Except it's too small. I could hardly read
I
it.
will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
As written.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second to approve the minutes of May 16th as written.
Oh, one more thing. Sharon wanted her letter to
Oh,
be read into
okay,
the
we'll
record.
do that, we'll go back to that, we can circle back to that. So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of May 16th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved 4-0. Okay, this is going back to topics not anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance. This is a letter from the former chairman of the Carver Redevelopment Authority, Sharon Clark, and she asked that this be read into the record, and I will give it to you as well. It says, "Good afternoon. It has come to my attention that a complaint challenging my residency in the town of Carver and the ability to serve on my elected and appointed boards has been filed with the town clerk. Ron and I recently sold our multi-level home on Bolton Street with a nearly 4-month period to locate another home in Carver that could meet our needs. As it became apparent that we may not find a home in time, I sought an opinion from Greg Corbo of KP Law as to the options for someone in our position. His opinion is dated 5/9/23. When all other avenues were exhausted, we obtained a 2-month rental in Plymouth through a family member and moved in on June 6th, 2 days prior to the closing on our home, because we had to move our possessions into storage. This apartment, she doesn't say, or this rental, expires on July 30th. However, since the complaint was lodged and we were advised by the town clerk that we would be formally served to appear before the Board of Registrars for a determination of our status, I have decided to resign from the boards that I currently serve. It has long been my position that these kinds of procedures are frivolous and a waste of taxpayers' money in legal fees, especially in view that I had sought an opinion and that we consider this upheaval temporary. It has always been our intention to find a smaller home in Carver where we have lived, raised our family, and participated in our government for 37 years. I regretfully resign my position as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, a position I have held since 1992, making me one of the longest continuous serving members of any board in Carver. During my tenure on the ZBA, becoming chairman in 1997, I have heard dozens and dozens of cases, overseen several bylaw reviews, and have never lost an appeal of a decision, whether it be an illegal in-law apartment, gas tanks for Cumberland Farms in the center of town, or a liquor store near the elementary school. That speaks to the integrity of the ZBA. I am very proud of my role in each of those cases. The ZBA is in great hands with Chairman Gray and Vice Chairman Mello, but I do hope to sit beside them again soon. I also regretfully resigned from my recent re-election on the Redevelopment Authority, also as chairman. This represents hundreds of hours on the North Carver project during 2021 and 22 with a board that works extraordinarily well together. It has always been my goal to always do what is best for the town that I call home. Putting an end to this distraction is one way to do that. I truly appreciate those that I worked with, either in town hall or the citizens that I represented. Sincerely, Sharon Clark. So,
So that being read into the record, we don't have to technically accept it. We could just leave it out there in space. It's read into the record, she's resigned.
there's no vote required. This is just something she wanted into the record. So we don't either need to accept or nor reject it. We
Just leave it there, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Good.
it's,
Yeah.
so it's done that.
I think so.
Give this, Sharon.
All right,
Okay, that was it.
next meeting.
Yeah.
It's a shame that such integrity has been challenged.
Oh, yeah. Dull moment over here.
I am booked through July. I can't do anything in July. Do we want to do the first or third Tuesday in August?
Okay.
Either one.
First or third, the first or the 15th, you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do people prefer?
Want to start with the first?
That works for me.
This gives
Okay,
us
works for me too.
The end of July, beginning of August, sounds great.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Kill two birds, one stone.
All right, so I'll take a motion to set that as the next date, August 1st.
So we move that we have our next meeting set for August 1st.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to have our next meeting on the 1st of August, 2023.
Please.
6:30.
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. It's approved 4-0. If there's nothing else for anybody, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Pat, got it, so I need a second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we're out. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Area
Thank you.
58.